Hello everyone, here we go for one more episode of Let's Talk About It. Thank you very much for your participation today. We'll be talking about clairaudience, parapsychic ability, which means being able to hear consciousnesses and sounds from extra-physical environment. It's one of the richest and most revealing parapsychic ability. And we'll be really meant to talk about it in practical terms as it gives a very helpful perspective for cycling and evolutionary processes as a whole. But it's very important to say before anything else, don't believe in anything, not even in what we say here in our debate. Experiment, have your own experiences, right? To talk about clairaudience today, let me introduce you the team. Karina is back. Karina has been working as a volunteer since 2007 and been with ASSIPI since 2013, working in the technical scientific department. Welcome back, Karina.
Hello, Mario. Thanks for having me. It's very nice to be back. Thanks.
Great. And Douglas Monteiro. Douglas has been volunteering at the ASSIPI since 2017 as an instructor since 2018. He's currently coordinating the IT department at the ASSIPI. Welcome back to Douglas.
Thanks for having me back. It's always a pleasure to be talking about these subjects here.
Very good, John. Very good, John. Not John, because John, I'm going to say it now because John Saraiva was scheduled to come today. Thank you, Douglas. For family issues, unfortunately, John Saraiva is not coming today, right? He wasn't able to come, and that's fine, no problem. Best energies for you and your family, João Saravia. All right, our debate is based on conscientiology. What is conscientiology? Conscientiology is a neuroscience that studies the consciousness as a whole, right? Consciousness is me, is you, is each one of us in human life. Now, all conscious beings in intraphysical and extraphysical dimensions. Consciential paradigm is focused on bioenergies, multidimensionality, pluriexistentiality, self-research, cosmoethics, universalism, and holosoma. Right? Conscientiology has more than 20 conscientiocentric institutions, each of them specialized in a specific subjects of research, right? ASSIPI is one of these institutions, and here we are specialized in parapsychism, right? ASSIPI is specialized in the study, research, development, and practical use of parapsychism. Okay, it's an international institution for interassistential parapsychism. And ASSIPI in English project is part of ASSIPI, and the project is focused on promoting the ideas of conscientiology worldwide. The project is especially focused on the study, research, and the useful practices of parapsychism. Very well. So let's get set to our conversation today. And I would start right by defining the term clairaudience, what it's all about. Clairaudience is the ability or faculty of hearing sounds not present in the physical environment or coming from extra physical dimensions. So, but I would like to talk, right, from this to approach this topic from the beginning by explaining why we have the ability of hearing the extra physical dimensions. Karina, let's start by talking about our para bodies, right? Which is our energetic bodies, because there is a special working from the para ears in the clairaudience. Could you expand this idea, please?
Yeah, sure, Mario. Thanks for the opportunity. So, for us to be able to listen to the para voices, we have to enable our para ears for that. Because if my para ears are not functioning well, how can I listen to the para voices, the extra physical voices or sounds? We can also have clairaudience of extra physical sounds, for instance. And in order to do that, it's important to work with our energetic body, develop some maneuvers, some techniques. For instance, the vibrational state. The more we practice, the more loosened our energetic body is. So we can open our chakras and enable them to censor this energetic dimension. And for instance, a chakra that is very related to communication. Now, it's the laryngeal chakra in this region of our throats. It's where we do most of our communication by intraphysical voice or also extra physical voice. And so it's very connected also with the para ears. Not that it's directly connected. So I would give, if someone wants to develop the clairaudience, it's important to work with laryngeal chakra. And how to do that? Sometimes we talk, and we don't listen in the intraphysical. So it's the chakras are not balanced. So how can I listen to it extra physical dimension if I'm not even listening in the intraphysical dimension? So the laryngeal chakra is not very compensated. So it's important to listen and to talk. To have, like, there's even a Chinese saying, listening is gold and talking is silver, right? So it's important to have this balanced, so we can connect better with the extra physical helpers and get the sense of the message they are trying to send us. And so it's like, how can I say, an antenna? It's correct to say antenna, right? It's both, for both Portuguese and English, we use the same word, yeah. So it's like a sensor, a radar for what we are capturing. So if we are not very well balanced, we can hear lots of information, even from the extra physical, and not make any sense of it. So it's important to have this filter, to be centered in order to have the right interpretation of the message the extra physical dimension is, and that the extra physical helpers are trying to pass to us. So in order to establish a very good communication.
That's very interesting for you to say this Chinese proverb, because I think that I heard another one. If I'm not wrong, it was from Confucius, and he said, "When you listen, you learn. When you speak, you teach." Sometimes you speak and you teach something, right? But when you listen, you are learning. So that's the importance of listening. Douglas, how about you? Have you ever had an experience of clairaudience? Because as we are talking about para bodies, I would like you to maybe bring up some experiences, if you will, about how we can, how is the perception of the para body working in clairaudience?
I have these. I had lots of this experience of Claudia audience, especially during this quarantine, where I was a kind of more detached from my body daily on a daily basis, and I was working more with my energies. And for me, this experience happened right before I fall into sleep or when I'm waking up. So, as we, as Karina explained, we have we have this extra physical body, which is connected to the physical body by an energetic body. And when we go to sleep, this extra physical body detaches from our physical body. So right when we are falling asleep or waking up, uh, we have this, we are kind of losing a little bit with these connections. So that's when I hear the most uh, these sounds inside my head. They are very intracranial, so I don't hear the in my ears. It's not like a physical voice that goes straight in my ear. These sounds are I sense them inside my head, um, and sometimes they are very random, and or sometimes they have a they are like a straight message where the with a few words. So and usually they make a lot of sense to me at that moment in my life.
Yes, that's very important for you to say. We are going to talk about, the differences or the characteristics and even the classifications of the clairaudience, not clairvoyance, clairaudience, in a while. But before, I would like to ask Karina to come back a bit to the work of the para-body, because para-body and para-bodies, right? Or para-ears. And you started talking, but there is something that is very important, which is the work with energies, right? So with the vibrational state, so let's go a bit more with that, because I think that it's so basic for those who want to develop clairaudience, that would like to be more specific about what the person has to do or should do to develop the clairaudience from the work with the bioenergies. Could you go a bit more further with that, please?
Yeah, sure. So the vibrational state is an energetic maneuver. In order, we can do it's not the maneuver, it's a state where our energetic body is vibrating. It's like sometimes it comes even with a sound. When we have our para ears open to that, we can even listen like the sound of our energetic body vibrating or shaking. So how can we implement the vibrational state? I'll talk about the basic mobilization of energy. So we start gathering, concentrating our energy in the top of our head. It's a region where the corona chakra is, in the top of our head. So we concentrate a lot of energy there, and we slowly move this energy through all our body until our feet. And then we bring this energy up again into the top of our head. And we start doing this each time a little bit faster and faster and so on, until it's so fast it's like different from the intraphysical dimension. We cannot even control this anymore. It's so fast, faster than the intraphysical physics that we are familiar with. And then our whole body, it's like a light that lightens up. It's like when we turn on the lights, like, so this is kind of the vibrational state. It's important, for instance, when we are beginning to do this, like at least 25 times, the energetic flow up and down, up and down. And the more we can install the vibrational state, it's the better for us. It's better. So if we have time to do, it's important to organize our schedule, our daily routine to implement these exercises. So the more we work with our energy, the more open we are. So we are more it's like more lucid, more aware of what's going on in our surroundings, not only intraphysical, but mainly extraphysical surroundings. And also I have another technique. It's like to breathe with our energetic body. We exteriorize the energy, so we become larger, and then we absorb again the energy. It's like when we are expelling the air, it's like we are expelling our energosoma, and then we are breathing again, inspiring, we bring our energosoma in. Something like that. We can also do this with our breath. It's in the beginning, it helps. and mainly work with the superior chakras, the laryngo, the frontal chakra between our eyebrows, and the corona chakra in the top of our head. So we can also do some circuits with our energy, so our chakras will be more open, more it's easier to connect with the
more
physical.
malleable, right? More malleable. Yes.
Yes.
That's very important,
More
because
fluid.
when it's exactly when your energetic bodies are more malleable, more softened, then the communication improves a lot, right? I would like to remind you to send your questions right in our comment section anytime you want. Share our doubts, our questions, our experiences. Please just jot down your questions right in our comment section, that we will be pleased to answer them. Okay, let's continue. I would like to come back to Douglas and talk about the kinds of clairvoyance we might have. Clairaudience, I'm making some confusions today. Clairaudience we might have, right? Because you said that you had the experience of intracranial sounds, but I've had two other kinds of experience with clairaudience, which is intracranial sounds or intracranial voice, but also surround, right? Like someone is speaking to me, I can clearly see that the person is here or the person is here. And the physical voice, which is pneumatophony, right? There is a difference between clairaudience and pneumatophony, which is pneumatophony is the sound that everyone is able to hear, right? Not only the clairaudient. So let's talk a bit about these differences. If you have any experience concerning this.
I did not have any experience with the surrounding, but I studied a little bit about the pneumatophony. That's how you spell it.
Yeah,
The physical
pneumatophony.
one, especially when people used to record the voices during mediunic sessions. So yeah, it's a very I don't know how are the researches on this area, but people during mediunic sessions use it to record the sounds of the environment, and during periods of intense exteriorization of energies, it's possible to make tangible not only the extra physical beings but also the voices, so you can record these voices. Mario had some experience. I think that uh, he showed me once that he used to do these recordings as well, right, Mario?
That's right. That's right. That was very important because, I started having researches on transcommunication. This is called transcommunication, right? It's the recording of voices from extra-physical environments, but also images on television. I haven't had any experience with images, but with sounds, yes. And it came up, totally by chance. I was recording some messages to myself, right, in my mobile phone, and I started capturing voices which were not mine. And sometimes I was in a very silent room, and I could capture these voices. Then I get intrigued and very, very motivated to do more and more researches on that. So I actually recorded like 500 EVPs, right? And okay, the transcommunication was something that I was really working on this, but what actually made me develop my clairaudient ability was something that Karina said. Well, the ability or the exercise of hearing the micro universe, to really listen to and force my ears, because sometimes the recordings were very low, so I had to enhance the sound in an editing program. So I had every day, I was so involved with this. Every day, it was a daily training. Every day I tried to hear and hear and hear, and it demanded lots of effort. So the exercise of listening made me clairaudient. I was not clairaudient, absolutely not, before this transcommunication experiences. So the transcommunication made me clairaudient. And what is most important with this is that the exercise, the daily exercise of trying to listen, the micro world, the micro universe, the micro sounds, made my ear maybe be more malleable and detached more easily, right? But I would like to go into something that's very important. Karina, what kind of message is one able to hear?
Yeah, that's very important, Mario. While you were talking, I was remembering about the psychiatry and psychology, that sometimes they don't consider this phenomena as accurate as it is. Sometimes they think the professional, that the person is going crazy when starts listening to some para voices. Sometimes they are already aware of the phenomena. It depends on the professional. Not everybody that listens to voices is no longer considered schizophrenic. In the past, it was like a rule. If you listen to voices, you're mentally ill.
Yeah.
It's no longer like that. But it's important to know the content of the message and also be discreet about this, because sometimes we access some kind of different messages, and we will not go on and telling everybody, like I'm in the queue for the bus or the subway, and I'm like, oh, tonight while I was leaving my body, I started listening to some extra physical sounds, and their helpers were trying to tell me something. It's not something we discuss openly like that. It has to be a content, and we have to be some certain of the content of the message, if it's important to talk about or not, what is our intention, why am I going to share this experience with someone, is it going to help the person, is it going to help me, am I sharing this because I need another point of view of the message I heard, I'm not very certain about this, so I need a friend to discuss it with. It's important to do that. But we sometimes the people that are considered crazy is because they talk and talk and talk about this like it's a normal thing, like, oh, I was waiting for the bus and some people were talking near me and I couldn't listen to what the other people were saying, and I was late for work because these voices in my head. That's it's very different. So it's important to, I think it's the discretion is the word, and have be aware of what we are going to share with other people. And sometimes, I'm sorry, Mario, what was your question? I was talking about this, the psychiatry, and I forgot what I was supposed to explain. The sound, yeah.
I'm muted, yeah. Now,
Yeah.
I asked about the content, the messages, but you were in it.
Oh, yeah, I was talking about the message. Yeah, yes, thanks.
Yes.
And once I remember when Douglas was talking about, sometimes I have this phenomena also when I'm going to sleep or when I'm waking up, because the energosoma is more loosened up, it's not fully coupled, how can I say, attached to my body.
Yeah, coupled.
Yeah. So it's easier to be aware of what's going on in the environment. And sometimes in the intraphysical dimension, it's all so quiet, there's not even a sound. And in the extraphysical, it's like lots of noises and people laughing and talking loud, like a party. So it means the extraphysical dimension is very agitated. And in the intraphysical, it's all very calm and serene. Sometimes in the penta, in the person energetic task, the personal energetic task, we can see this difference between the two dimensions. Like in the intraphysical, you're alone in the room. In the extraphysical, you have the extraphysical helper and also the people that come to be assisted. And sometimes they are very unstable and they are agitated, and you can hear the sounds of the agitation in the extraphysical. And when you come to the body again, it's like, oh, it's so serene in the intraphysical. And but sometimes nothing, it's not that serene because the extra physical is so agitated, and we begin feeling agitated, we begin feeling anxious if we are not aware of what's going on in the other dimension. That's one other thing to be aware of, these contents also of the message. And sometimes, Mario, it's not even a para voice. It's like the message, like I think Douglas said that it's all at once in your head. It's like someone is talking inside your head. You don't hear the para sound, the para voice, but it's like you're listening to the person's voice. So sometimes it's like a reminder of a discussion you had. I had this week, actually, this 10 years ago. I had a talk with a teacher, very experienced helper, interphysical helper, and he died. And 10 years later, I found myself in a very similar situation. I was working in my self-research, trying to overcome some inabilities, and I had a very similar situation to one that I experienced 10 years ago. And I saw myself like, oh, I didn't overcome this so far. 10 years after, I'm still struggling. I thought I was doing much, much better. Actually, I am a little better, but not 100%. It's like the spiral when we come and visit some issues from the past. And it was like I was having this same conversation 10 years later with this helper, but now he's in the extra physical dimension. 10 years before, he was in the intraphysical, and it was like he was talking to me all over again. You no longer need to feel this way. You can overcome this. It was like, oh, this is a clairaudience, but different, because I'm listening to his voice in my head. So
That's very interesting, what you said, Karina. Douglas, as we are talking about the content, because it's very important, in every parapsychic ability, every parapsychic experience, the most important thing is the content, what the content is, how we interpret the contents, right? And personally, these experiences have to do with our multidimensional reality, right? For somehow we are there connected with those who come to talk to us, right? So according to your experiences, what was the quality of these messages you had? Did it help them? Did it help you, actually?
Yeah. So I always like to, when I get these, when I experience a phenomena, I always try to see, to understand why I'm having that phenomena at that moment in my life. So, as I like to say, I have somehow I like to be in the flow of the. I have a flow in my life uh, where I like to be in that, where things go smoothly. So these phenomena usually help me uh, shape my life to in accordance to that flow. So whenever I hear a voice, whenever I get this, when I experience clairaudience, I always firstly, usually these intracranial sounds that I had were very you can sense that there is a lucid consciousness sending that message. It's like a feeling, and when I hear random voices, I also have the feeling that these are not that lucid consciousness speaking. So there's this intuition going on, but I always try to decode the meaning of the message, like who's who probably said that. Was that a helper? Was that a random consciousness, someone that needs to be assisted? So it's always important to, more important than the phenomena is what you bring out of it and who sent that message. So that's two things that I like to um, think about this phenomenon when it happens. So not only clairaudience, but telepathy or clairvoyance. Whenever I have this phenomena, I try to decode why I'm having that at that specific moment of my life. Because for me, I'm not I don't have one or two phenomena that happens daily or happens um, every time. I have these depending on the period or the moment of my life. I have different sets of phenomena that send me different kinds of message. So since this is more dynamic, I have to be dynamic as well. I have to uh, I had to take these two patterns of thinking: who sent that message and why? What can I learn from that message? I don't know if this explains, but it's my experience on um, not only clairaudience but other phenomena as well.
Great, great, Douglas. And Karina would like to say something.
Yes, yes. I would like to complement what Douglas said. I remembered once I was starting to study conscientiology, and when I was about to wake up, I heard a very loud and clear voice. It was a male's voice saying, Karina, Karina. And I was like, what's going on? And many times, due to the Hollywood movies, of the scary movies, I was like, oh, there's an extra physical consciousness here, is trying to scare me. And I was like, go away, don't want to hear you, I don't want to listen to any voices. And I came instantly back to my body and started doing some movements in order to send the extra physical consciousness away. Because I instantly thought, someone is who dares to call my name in the extra physical dimension, and I don't want you here. And I didn't have the chance to know what this was that Douglas was saying. What was the kind of message the person was trying to send, to talk to me about, and also the pattern of the energy of the extra physical consciousness. And I just shut it down. And later, discussing with some teachers in the course that I was doing, the Conscientiology course, I think it was the Projectiology course at the time. And when I brought up the subject, everybody could feel the energy. It was helper energy. It was a very positive pattern. It was not intruder pattern. So I just sent the helper away. He was trying to help me, and I couldn't accept this because of the kind of the phenomena. So I just blocked my para ears and I blocked my clairaudience. And then I realized that the helpers, they found other ways to communicate. Since I was afraid of clairaudience, I think they realized are not going to call her again. We will send different message like synchronicity, some ideas, energetic showers, so she can feel we are around her, but we cannot call her because she's not ready for this kind of phenomena. Sometimes we do that. We don't even have the chance to experience the phenomena because we assume the worst. And this is how we close our parapsychism. It doesn't matter if I'm doing like 20 vibrational states per day, if I'm still afraid or I have a wrong conception about some phenomena. It's like I begin to see something, the clairvoyance, for instance, and then I just close my eyes. I'm very scared. I don't want to see. So it's something that I did. And as Douglas was saying, I remember this event, and it was not very mature. So it takes some time you have to be more mature about the phenomena as well in order to experience them.
That's true. And I always say that we have to get used to the multidimensional reality, because we talk about it, but we don't kind of live it, And when we do, it's something new, right? I always say that it's a natural thing, but not very common. There is a difference between what is common and what's natural. It's natural for everyone because we are human beings and we have this ability, inherent to our resources, right? With our human resources, but it's not natural. It's something like, I can see, conscientism, I can hear conscientism. It's not very common. And what you said is interesting because it raise 2 points, which is the first one is the fear you have of the phenomenon itself, and the fear sometimes you have of expressing it, telling people you listen to consciences, right? And then I'd like to tackle again something that you said a few minutes ago about the schizophrenia, because people really get this a bit confused, right? And there is this kind of prejudice and say, "Oh, I hear voices, so oh my God, I'm gonna tell anyone about it, right? Because it's something that I don't know what it is. I may be crazy or something." No, you're not crazy. Of course, there is schizophrenia with these symptoms and things, but we're talking about clairaudience. And when we have messages which are sensible, when they are reasonable, when we have a logic, when it's very particularly important to you, and you can recognize it as something important, then it's clairaudience, right? It's not something random and saying anything. It has to do with you. So if you just pay a bit of attention to the kind of message you are receiving, and the voices who are talking to you, you will possibly interpret this in a very say essential or I'm going to say important way to your life, right? So you can identify it in your recycling process or evolutionary process. I experienced lots of clairaudience while I was in a recycling period, right? Recycling process. So maybe we should go a bit through it, right? We know that as we are talking about fear, as we are talking about fear, I fear hearing the extraphysical consciousnesses, right? But the first thing, it has to do with me, with my reality, right? So it's a matter of facing our multidimensional reality. But let's talk a bit about parapsychic self-confidence, right? Parapsychic self-confidence as a whole, and also something that helped me a lot, because in the beginning I was also afraid of it. But one thing that made me overcome fear was also feeling that I had the presence of the helpers, right? I was not alone. I was with the helpers. So let's talk about parapsychic self-confidence, Karina. What can we say about this? What is your experience in terms of this in a general way?
Yeah, it really helps us. It's like trusting our gut, something like that. We can trust our feelings because the more we become aware of the parapsychism, of our energies, we can discern or make a difference between the different patterns of energy. So when we have this message, when we listen to para voices, we can differ if this is an accurate message, if someone trying to help us, if it's someone trying to scare us, if it's an intruder, or if it's a helper, and also if this message makes any sense or not, because sometimes we can receive some message that are not making any sense now, but maybe in a few years time it will make all the sense. So we write it down and we save it for later. Maybe we are not mature yet. So this is why it's important to trust our parapsychism, because I remember sometimes I have I interpret the signals in a wrong way. Sometimes it depends also in our the way we were brought up, the way we see the world, our internal paradigm. So if we have like a negative vision of the world may be a message that is accurate. We can see it like in the wrong. Oh, it's not very good message. The helper is saying, for instance, I have lots of coincidence or synchronicities with 911. And the first times it was like, oh, it's an emergency, someone's going to die. So is it a helper trying to connect with me? Why am I listening or seeing this number? And then in time, I figured out it was helpers trying to say I was in the right path. It's not like it's an emergency. You have to do things in a rush. It's like, take your time, you're going on the flow, everything's going good. But but sometimes we interpret in the wrong way. So it takes some time in order to trust our parapsychism and also to have this self-confidence. How do you say self-confidence, parapsychism? This it's self-confidence,
Self-confidence, parapsychic
parapsychic
self-confidence.
self-confidence. Yeah, it takes sometimes in order to trust our abilities. And so the more we work with it, the more we talk about it, the more confident we become. It's like in every ability in our lives. For instance, reading. When we started learning how to read, we were not confident. We made lots of mistakes. We needed all kinds of help and teachers to support us. But with time, with years of practice, it's like we become more confident of what we are reading. And with parapsychism, it's the same. It's what we are interpreting. It's like what we are also reading from the extra physical dimension. So it takes practice. That's all, I think. And also we see the results. So the more I get the messages right, or even wrong, because I can learn from my mistakes. And when I realize I got the message completely wrong, I can correct for the other times it's going to happen. So we become more confident on what we have achieved so far. That's all I would say about the parapsychic abilities or confidence.
Yeah, it's like anything else in life. You have to practice, you have to experience, and the more you practice, the better you get in interpreting more accurately what we hear. Right? In the beginning, we may misunderstand something. Of course, we are not very aware of. Sometimes an intruder is just passing by, trying to pretending he's a helper, but he's not. So this kind of mistakes are very common to happen, but we have to continue and try to be more attentive to the messages and see the quality of the messages, right? So then we can defer them from helper and intruder. I'm going to talk a bit more about it, but before we have a question from Maria Jose Povos. She asked, well, I see other dimensions, other lives, and know the history. If are mine or my fractals. As I said, our experiences have to do with our own multidimensional reality. Even when we are in a new environment, if we get connected to the concepts of this environment or the energies of this environment, somehow I'm getting connected to this environment because I have something to do with this, or I'm able to help, or I'm able to liaise with these concepts. Somehow it has to do with the multidimensional reality. Things don't happen by chance. There is always a good reason for them to happen. So then we have to be accurate about this reason. Sometimes we may really interpret to gain kinds of parapsychic cognition, right? It's very important, or parapsychic intellectuality, right? So I think that it has to do with you, or try to understand why you are connected to those who are talking to you, or to the message they are giving to you, right? People, do you have something else to say about this collocation of Maria Jose?
I have something to say about the parapsychic self-confidence that Karina
Yeah,
said.
sure.
So I think that fear is kind of common, is kind of natural because this multidimensional reality is not every day for most people. So when you begin to develop that, it's natural that you be fearful of these new experiences. But the knowledge helps a lot. So studying and knowing what are the phenomena and what is happening when you do certain practice helps a lot. And in my case, there are two things that are kind of fuel that helps me overcome my fears, or at least try to overcome my fears. So the first one is um, the why I am developing developing my parapsychic abilities. So it has to do with the evolution. So it makes sense to me. These ideas make sense to me. That parapsychic abilities are a natural thing to human beings, and that we come from. I am not though. I am not this body, only this body. So. Uh, to help me connect to my where I came from, um, I developed this phenomena, so it helped me connect to who I truly am. Um, it's one of my few fuels that help me a lot to overcome my fears. So if people can sense why you are why do you want to develop these phenomena, I think that this meaning, this core, is what would this will help you a lot to overcome these fears.
Very well said, because it has to do with your intention, right? Especially concerning parapsychic abilities. If you have the right intention to develop something, you will have definitely help, right, from helpers, which is extremely valuable. We have another question from Maria Jose. She asks, I have seen myself in Lemuria. I was levitation using certain sounds. Can you say any words about it? Possibly she was having a projection experience, and she heard certain sounds.
She was using, or maybe she was listening to certain sounds. I think the best person actually to talk and know for sure about this experience is herself. It's Maria Jose herself, because we were not there. So she has to, it's like a puzzle. We have to connect all the clues and write them down, see if it makes sense. Why am I remembering this? Why did I have this experience? Is it going to help me in any kind of way? Is it going to help other people? Who is promoting this experience? Am I being helped by someone? Am I doing this by myself? Am I being maybe hurt by someone? Is someone trying to make me remember things that are not very healthy, and it will frighten me in some kind of way? Is anybody upset with me? Is anybody thankful? I tend to like take a wide photograph of what I'm going through at the moment when I have some experiences like that, in order to be sure if it's being promoted by helpers or any immature consciousness that it's not happy of some things that I'm doing, and maybe how I wake up after the experiences. Am I feeling better? Am I full of energy? How is my state of mind? Am I frightened? Am I afraid to leave? Am I afraid to have other experiences? These can denotate the kind of consciousness that were working also with me in the events. So we have to gather all the hypotheses in order to make a conclusion, a very accurate conclusion. And other thing I was going to say, apart from what Maria Jose said, I remembered a movie called Afterlife, and I don't know if you've seen this, with Matt Damon, and he makes some extra physical readings, and at some point he came across with a word, June. It's like the month. He immediately he thinks of the month. Something happened in June. What is June? And the person that was getting the information didn't say anything at the time, but when he left the room, he said, "Oh, June was my nurse." It was the name of the person. So sometimes we listen to the word, and we can give a meaning that has nothing to do with what was actually trying to be said at the time. So I think this example may clarify. we listen to a word that has 2 or maybe 3 or 4 or even 4 meanings, and we don't connect it instantly, what the kind of the message that was trying to be passed on.
Yeah, the interpretation is very important. So Maria put something else here. She said, I was listening and using it in order to levitate. And then she continues, I was with my teacher there. As possibly what she's saying, that she was listening to, there wasn't any fear. She says, all right, possibly she was listening to some sounds and using these sounds to levitate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think since she was feeling good and it was with a teacher, maybe try to figure out what changed in your life after this experience. Because when we have an experience like that with some helper or a teacher, someone that is helping us, usually our life is no longer the same afterwards. So it's important to figure this out. What were the changes that you made? Even in your mind, maybe your mindset changes when we have like a lucid extra physical project, out of the body experience. We see the world in a different way. We are no longer ourselves after an experience like that. Everything changes. Our value, what we are doing with our lives, in our routines, our relationships, everything changes. So it's important also to be aware of that. An experiment like this one that she's bringing to us, it's a life changer. Just maybe try to figure this out.
Yes, if we are going to tell you something, Emily, in terms of, according to my experience, for example, according to what I have researched and read about it, there are some possibilities for what you may have heard, right? Listen, there is the intracranial sounds when we are taking off, right? If you are taking off aware, lucidly, we may hear intracranial sounds, or if you are outside of the body but very close to it, you still have perception from both, like extraphysical and intraphysical reality. You may hear sounds, as Karina and Douglas said, right? So while before sleeping, before going to bed, before sleeping, we are more subtle and able to hear the extraphysical. So this is another possibility for you. And that's that. I think that you have one experience that may happen while in taking off your body, right? Like intracranial sounds, because of the nadis, right? Nadis are each of the energy coming out from the chakras. So when you are getting detached, these energies are very intense. If you are aware, lucid, you may hear a very strong intracranial sounds. But you have to see for yourself and analyze exactly what you meant as listening. You may even hear the extraphysical. So just check it out. Things, listening sounds, hearing sounds while taking off lucidly is possible, right? People, one thing that we are just closing our meeting today. We have 6 minutes to finish that, and I would like to talk about how to develop clairaudience. What can you say how to develop clairaudience? I want to be clairaudient, and how can I develop it?
Yeah, so Karina said in the beginning that working with our energies is very important. So, in order to perceive more of the multidimensional reality, we have to be more. We have our energetic body that connects our physical body to our extra physical body has to be more loosened so we can receive more information from that other body that is extra physical. And I think that Mario said another thing that's very important as well. These kind of phenomena that are attached to our senses, like our vision, our smelling capacity, the capacity of hearing. There's a fine tuning that we can do that in order to get more information from these senses. So as Mario said, he used to pay attention to little details coming from the sounds in order to develop this ability. And clairvoyance as well has this. If you want to see what is happening in the extraphysical reality, you have to pay attention to little details, but also when you are doing some practice, you have to uh, get you have to learn how to tune into your paravision. So yeah, that is tuning how to pay attention to that extra physical organ. I don't know if you want to say something to complement something, Mario or Karina.
Yeah, I would say also to study and not only practice by ourselves, it's very important, but read about the subjects. For instance, I want to develop clairaudience, so I'm going to read. I see Mario has a book about clairaudience, and he made a small video about it. So yeah, that one. Raise clairaudient energy. For instance, see movies related to parapsychic phenomena and discuss with other people. Here in ASSIPI, we have study groups. I'm always connected, for instance, in the volunteer work or giving classes or studying or listening to other people tertulias or classes in order to be connected with this idea, trying to connect with helpers, trying to help other people. And sometimes helpers give me like an extrapolation, a parapsychic ability above my own, so I can help other people better. And also Mario Luna, every Monday he coordinates a group, the Parapsychic Encounters. So maybe it's another opportunity for people that are just getting to know ASSIPI right now. So he coordinates a group every Monday in order to develop parapsychic abilities and discuss about this parapsychic phenomena. I think it helps us because we are like in this hollow scene. The thoughts, the sentiments, and the energies connecting parapsychic abilities. So it will help us develop also clairaudience.
Very good. We have one more question from Jairo. What chakra is connected with clairaudience development? I think Karina said in the beginning that was laryngeal chakra.
Yeah, I said. I think Jairo was not here at that time. Hi, Jairo. Thanks for the question. It's nice
Jairo.
to hear from you. And yeah, it's a laryngeal chakra is connected. Maybe when you have time, you can listen to the very beginning of our talk today. We were discussing about the laryngeal chakra and how to develop clairaudience through our energetic bodies.
Very good. Very well said, Karina. We have an event here at ASSIPI called Psychic Encounter. It's held in English every Monday at 3 p.m. If you are interested in knowing this, we have in our page, Instagram and Facebook, some posts of the event. So just leave your message there and we'll send you the link for the event. It will be very welcome. I would like to close the conversation today by saying particularly the importance of clairaudience, because actually that was one of the parapsychic abilities I developed most over the last years and was very crucial and essential in my recycling, personal recycling and evolutionary process, right? The first thing that I lost fear and I got used to it because, as I said, it's something not very common, but it's natural. So somehow we may, as Douglas said, we may fear at the first, encounter with this ability. So of course we fear, right? But it doesn't matter. We have just to get used to it, right? Then we have to insist to live and experience this, because the most important thing is that we have to use as base our parapsychic self-confidence and also the trust we have with our helpers, right? As our intention is good, we will have some help from helpers. So it's very important. Another thing that clairaudience gave me was what I say, existential empathy, right? Existential empathy. What is that? When you know who you were talking to, when you hear the consciousnesses, right? The extraphysical consciousness, you understand them a lot better. You are aware of who they are, what they want, what's the issue you are involved with them. So, and this kind of connection, communication, makes you aware of your past debts, right? Your past debts, your past relationship, and you immediately get connected and you get empathic to assist those people and understanding the intruders as well, right? Not being refractory to them. It's just, you know, you understand their reality, you understand the need that you have to assist them. So when you are aware of your multidimensional reality, it gives you a very rich cognition about yourself that goes far beyond the intraphysical life. So I think the clairaudience is extremely important for our evolutionary process, and I would encourage you to study more, to practice daily training this, because it will help you a lot. Okay, people, unfortunately, we have to say goodbye now. Next, Let's Talk will be on May 29th. We'll be talking about multidimensional reurbanization. See you there. Thank you very much, Karina. Thank you very much, Douglas.
Bye. Thank you, Mario. Thank you, Douglas, as well.
See you next time.
See you.